for our community, they're for to keep you out of prison. So you've got to deal with that as soon as you get elected, or you've got to deal with that before you get elected. That's the lessons and the legacy of COINTELPRO, which I'm sorely afraid from my travels across the nation, from talking to black politicians, from talking to black Congress people, sitting in their office and explaining to them how they got in the position they're in now, that we are not getting, not just the young folks are not getting, the grown folks talk about COINTELPRO, but the lessons of COINTELPRO, they have not inculcated into their programs or implemented into counter programs to make sure that we can go forward without the burden and the chains of COINTELPRO.
Dr. Tyrone Powers is with us. You with Dr. Tyrone Powers inside of tonight's Mind Flight at 1190 WLIB here in the air.
Oh, Captain, praise God.
Yes, sir.
Two very quick questions to the brothers so other people can call in. Number one, what does it take to awaken our people out of the matrix and think about our survival separate from the plantation, using our money for our survival? Understand there are federal, city, state funds that we're supposed to have the schools and so forth, but using our monies for our survival. Number two, Sunrise said with Gary, when the music dies, the world dies. And our beloved brother, against the influence of the CIA, the FBI, in destroying the music for our children with this hip-hop craze. And I'll wait for the answer. God bless.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Powers, let's start with the first part of that question about what is it going to take to awaken our people. You've mentioned, obviously, what should be done. How do we, if you will, corral our own dollars to be able to do that?
Well, dollars is a significant part of it, obviously, because of the economic foundation that is necessary for any progress. But one of the key issues, and I think I can't say it any better than Dr. Carter G. Woodson in The Miseducation of the Negro. If you control a man's thinking, then you don't have to worry about his actions. So if you take that in reverse, the actions that we are seeing today in our community, in many cases with our young people, is because somebody else is controlling their thinking. And Dr. Carter G. Woodson said that in the 20s and the 1930s, that until we effectively control the education of our children, I mean in terms of making them develop an economic foundation so they spend the money with us, so they don't get involved in meticulous just consumption all the time. Until we control that, until we begin to teach them education in terms of COINTELPRO and all these other operations at an early age, then we're not going to change their mindset. In many cases, I don't doubt that we can change the mindset of those who are older. Some of us now are still coming into revelations and it's changing some of our actions. But every other nation in the world, every other group of people in the world know that if you control the education of the young, you change the destination of all the generations to follow that young. Right now, in many of our urban locations, our education system and our schools are in horrible condition. And even when they're not in horrible condition, the curriculum doesn't include COINTELPRO. It doesn't include economic independence. It doesn't include entrepreneurship. And we know that young children at that early age can have their mindset, can be taught that at an early age. Again, this was the danger of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense having a Breakfast for Children program. Because you got to remember this. If you go back and look at what J. Edgar Hoover said, that the Black Panther Party at the time for self-defense was one of the most dangerous organizations in the country. And his philosophy behind this was this: if they're making the children healthy, if they're feeding the children, then the children are going to listen to them, because you're going to listen to who's feeding you, who's taking care of your health, and who's taking care of your housing. So those three things that the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense put in motion was going to allow them to have the minds of the children. And if they had the minds of the children, and the children wouldn't be in 2007 committing black-on-black violence, the children would be doing other things to advance us economically. When they destroyed the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, the government decided that if we feed the children, and we house the children, and we educate the children, then we will control the direction of the children. And the government took over free breakfast programs in the schools. This is the very thing that the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense created. The government said, no, we're going to feed your little black children. We're going to control every aspect of their life, so that when they look for answers, they'll look to us instead of looking to you, because we would have taken that over. People understood that. Beyond Honorable Elijah Muhammad understood that. Marcus Garvey, back in the Garvey movement, understood that. You've got to control the minds of the young people.
And let's add something, Dr. Powers, and of course you're well aware of this, some of our listeners may not be, that same FBI, through J. Edgar Hoover, targeted Marcus Garvey in that period.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. And see, this is the key. The key has been, and this is the significance, and I've said this everywhere I go, I say, even if you've read The Miseducation of the Negro, go back and read it again, and again, and again, and again. Read the works of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. People say, well, I disagree with their philosophy, and I'm not a Muslim, and all. That makes no logical sense. There are people in this country and our children who disagree with the philosophy of Thomas Jefferson, who owned slaves, yet he got a monument in Washington, D.C., and I guarantee your child is going to read about him this year. It makes no sense for us to read that, because the solution to our problems are in those documents that have already been written. The problem is we're not controlling the minds of our children. If we control it early enough, the children will do the right thing. And this is what the government feared and continue to fear even into the 90s, even into this new millennium.
Dr. Powers, before we go to our next call, I want to finish up that second part of our caller's question, because it linked into something you were talking about earlier in the opening of our interview about the issues of the FBI, CIA, hip-hop community. When you were talking about the manipulation that was occurring in terms of agents that were being sent in, they described that process of how you see COINTELPRO operating in conjunction with what began to happen with hip-hop, then used as a tool to destroy our children.
Well, no doubt about it. The music has been a foundation of we've always told our story through music. It's motivated us. It kept us strong even during the days of chattel slavery. And then during the early part of hip-hop, when you begin to have groups like Public Enemy, who was delivering conscious messages and all, as I mentioned before, just like the Breakfast for Children program and the education programs of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense and the work of the Nation of Islam couldn't be allowed, neither could this kind of conscious molding, mixing music with a powerful message to change the direction of the people. So money got involved, and it took people like Ice Cube, who initially, even though he was using the language, had some message to his music. It took him from a ghetto prophet to a ghetto prophet, P-R-O-F-I-T. It changed the whole message in philosophy. Even in one of the songs, I think one of the rappers said a long time ago, some rappers I know is heaven sent, but self-destruction doesn't pay the rent. Their philosophy began to change, that whatever you rap about, make sure, even if it's self-destructive, make sure you can make money from it. And that didn't come from them. That came from the people who control the industry. And we know that, because historically, our music had been a part of our movement. We've been the ones who walked to the sound of theme music that we created in and of ourselves. And they got involved with that. But I'm telling you this, and this is what I know. This is not hypothetical. If we explain that at an early age to the young people, they will see it. They're always asking us to keep it real. They will see it and know it. The problem is that even black elementary school teachers and middle school teachers are teaching the regular curriculum, and they don't know how to integrate these powerful messages that could change the direction of young people and change the direction of a race. If they're in the classrooms, if they just say, okay, I know I've got to cover this because this is the state curriculum, but I'm going to cover it this way to change the direction. Because these young people have listened everywhere I've gone, even when I speak to the pharmaceutical street agents late at night in some of the basement of churches, which I won't go in and name an area, and try to change their direction, try to teach them how to turn bad money into good money. That's called money laundering now. But the reality of the matter is that it's my objective to get them out of where they are, move them to where they are, a part of the solution rather than a part of the problem by any means necessary. But when you explain that to them in a way that makes sense, because their minds are already tuned to that, just like it's tuned to the music, then they will change their direction. We just haven't done enough of that.
Dr. Tyrone Powers, again, he's all the rise to my soul, the rise or decline of a black FBI agent. You're in the air with him inside of tonight's GBE Mind Flight. 1198 WIB. Let us know where you're calling as you join the flight. Good evening.